Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we have ourselves some tracks from an act named Luna Carina. And if we switch over to here, our Luna Carina, we've got Jacob Smith and Jack Print. And these two, along with some other collaborators, have been working on some music recently. They've got an album, an upcoming one titled Lily, and we're going to be listening to 3 of their tracks today. We've got Retrospect, which is the first one here on Spotify with Olawale, who I believe is a winner of a competition, Project Fame West Africa competitions. That's pretty dope. So that'll have definitely some pipes on them. And we're going to listen through this track along with the others from start to finish. We're going to hear what we think. Let's go. Okay. Instantly guitars and hi-hats. I've got some sugars. I'm not quite sure what they are. Oh. Oh, palm muted arpeggios on the guitar, followed by some shimmery synth pads. That's cool. I kinda see it as my own reflection. My reflection. I kinda believe it's a fixed point, a missed point, a moot point. When I leave, I'm gonna set this place on fire. I'm gonna leave the mask containing my desires. Okay, back into the hook. Sweet. Damn, that was a slick transition to that, I believe that'll be hook, isn't it? Is that the hook? We got the guitar riff, this motif here. Hold me to battle again, cool. Retrospect. Damn, dude, the vocals are effortless, aren't they? Oh, dynamic range, cool. It's starting to feel like some fever. But I see it's a clear path to redemption. And I kinda believe it's calling. It's back and it's trying over. Okay, and straight into it, cool. Straight back into that hook. Dope. It's got that ABAB structure here along with some occasional instrumental sections. It's nice and fresh sounding. The production's pretty high class, and yeah, the vocals are sitting really well into mix along with the guitar, bass, and drums here. We've got a 3-chord progression here. That loops really well with occasional fills and arpeggios on the guitar parts and the occasional whoosh, kind of swingy part on the pads. Oh, multiple vocals, that's cool. It was nice to have the drums in sync with the guitar like that. It's nice to have the guitar and the drums come in and layer them and be in unison like that. I look down this path and I still can't like the trust you left me. You don't know me, but you do detect me. You don't know me, but you do detect me. Interesting. I'm gonna set this place on fire. I'm gonna leave the mask containing my desires. Calling me to battle again. Interesting. Oh, we're doing the chorus twice. That's cool. Lift the mask containing his desires. So is he talking about how he's been hiding how he feels about that person? Maybe they've been sort of like a ghost in the room or something like that. And they're... But what does that calling me to battle again part mean? Okay. Oh, right. So they're going back to each other because in reality they did have it right back then. It's just they're in that stage where they broke up and they're not sure if they really should make the first move again or you know. You know, it's kind of spicy having those different vocal takes here. I'm not always a fan of that. Like, the guy's a phenomenal vocalist showing illustrious vocal technique with the ornamentation, the vibratos, the legato technique. The harmonies work every single time. It's luxurious, really. It's phenomenal production. The songwriting and arrangement of it is to die for. I'm glad that these counterpoints with the different vocals are coming in later in the piece as opposed to earlier. I just think we need to slowly be introduced to what this guy can do on the mic before we started going too overboard with it, To be fair, though, I don't really think we went overboard. I think he carried himself well. When I listened to the arpeggios and the way it was strung, and like the interlude was quite short. I'm not always a fan of having short interludes like that, especially if they go that seamlessly back, because it's almost like, what was the point of having the interlude, right? But we had another angle of the song, and it was kind of nice to have the guitars and the drums have that fill there before it and everything like that. And I don't necessarily think that the song would have been aided by having additional instrumental layers in that last chorus. So we kind of get away with it because we're allowing the vocals to more illustrate themselves and create a brighter. So we actually know we had different vocals in the second time of the chorus as well, to be fair. So we had the development there. It made sense, right? Everything kind of came together at the end. And then we had the different vocal takes and repetition of the hook lines and everything like that later on. Retrospect is a good song. It's written well. Luna Carina did well. Olawale demonstrated his abilities incredibly well, and it was a good effort. Well done. So that's track 1. For track number 2, we additionally have Tink Beetle and George Ryan. I think Tink Beetle and George, they both know the members, Jack and Jacob, quite well. So, yeah, this is a collaboration between mates, so to speak. They're both singer-songwriters from the UK. So we're going to listen to this track as well and see what they do next. Oh, it's different. It's a little bit more laid back than what we had previously, eh? Oh. That bass line is so peppy, isn't it? So energetic. Hit a bop, 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 bop. We're not just rolling with the rhythm that we have in the hi-hats. We're filling in the gaps.
Hey stranger, how have you been? Has it been years or weeks? I forget.
Cool, having these fills at the end of each quadrant is a smart move. It helps you to go back into the way that we're looping these vocal melodies and rhythms. Like the phrasing is similar between the two takes we've had so far. It's nice to have the male and female vocals on either side.
Oh, don't you recognize my grin, baby?
Interesting harmonies we have here. They work though. And they're nice and friendly fifth harmonies. We haven't had anything sort of too exotic yet. Oh, that's kind of pretty, isn't it? Oh, we're rolling off of that 7th and that harmony, aren't we? Oh, cool. It's like dreamy. It's like you're floating through clouds, isn't it? It does actually work really well, and I like how the bass lifts there because it kind of makes you imagine them floating up, flying over the hills to where love is real. I think the imagery there is strong. The way the story is being sung with the lyrics and the way the band is playing along with their instruments, it's very complete sounding. It makes sense. An absence of guitars here, but I don't think we really need guitars in a song like this. I don't know what it would necessarily add. Oh, they're there very vaguely, That cymbal work there and that little transitory part at the end, those 30 seconds with those rolls are stunning, and the percussionist deserves a raise.
Memories cloud my mind.
Okay, that was cool.
Some leave me heavy and some leave me light.
I didn't like those harmonies there very much. They were a bit too spicy for me. I feel like we've had such chill stuff so far, and we've had such friendly sounding harmonies. Is that meant to illustrate there's a little bit of complexity or tension in the situation there, and that's why I don't want to kind of rag on it too much, because I think they had a reason for pulling that, considering how well they've set everything else up. But I don't know, man. I mean, like, they were within the scale, I think. There weren't any chromatics or accidentals, but it was almost like they were riffing off the diminished or something like that. Or using... Oh, this kind of makes sense until we're running towards the light. It kind of sounds sad. So I guess from a thematics perspective, or a story perspective, it makes sense there that we're getting a little bit sad. They're a little bit unsure of things. Oh, we're going back into it. Is this vibe music? It's so minimalist, man. It's so minimalist. Like, I know I've had some fairly kind of spicy vocal harmonies. And aside from some of the really, like, phenomenal cymbal work I've had so far, it's been a minimalist performance. I've had some vocal ornamentation, but they've been playing it conservatively with this. It's very gentle, isn't it? And back to that bass groove there. The production is stunning. Like, the way the cymbals are recorded here, you can hear little ding-dings there. That's something special, the way that they've done these studio stuff. It's so clear, man. It's sounding like commercially ready, you know? There's a wishy-washy sound on those guitars alongside the vocal ahs and the bass and the drums. Is there like a Strymon pedal or something like that on it? I also like failed to mention like the organs and other instruments in the previous track, Retrospect. Like, there's all these subtle little elements that you kind of absorb and maybe don't notice straight away, and then you think back and thought, oh, that was fun. That was fun. It's kind of clever how Luna Carina and everyone else involved managed to layer those in there without them being too obvious. It kind of makes the composition a bit deeper, you know, a little bit more clever to not have everything the same loudness, to specifically choose where the attention is meant to be paid to with things. And I think that Leave Me Light is a really well-written track. You know, I might not have agreed with necessarily all the creative decisions, but I'm sure they had their reasons for it, and I have enough faith, given what we've heard so far, that everyone involved, yeah, they knew what they were doing. That's okay, man. Music's subjective. That's literally the only thing so far. Yeah, aside from like wanting that interlude in retrospect to maybe like a little bit longer or something like that. I don't know, man. I'm just being picky at this point. I've enjoyed both these tracks though. Tink Beadle and George Ryan are phenomenal singers. Different styles to what we had with Olawale, but that's fine. You don't need all your singers to do the exact same thing in case, you know, in the sense that I think they're showing a band's versatility by working with different collaborators with different styles is like a really helpful thing to do. And lets you see their potential and the possibilities for growth, you know? Again, as their debut album is coming out soon. So this is very, very exciting. You can see here, though, we have like three people involved. Jasmine Jasmine Tietz. Please don't be offended. I'm not trying to mispronounce your name. Sorry if I have stuffed that up. Jasmine Tietz, King Marino, and Necro G. Great, eager to gain. This one has a couple of thousand plays, which is promising. I think Jasmine is a singer-songwriter from Germany. King Marino is a rapper based in the UK. And I think Necro G is actually a bit of a legend in the underground hip-hop scene. Like, it's pretty cool that he's done a feature on this. He's done a lot of work as well. So yeah, let's listen to this final track today and hear what we think. Eager to gain. Eager to gain. Eager to gain. Got these guitar lines here. Reverb, soaked in it, laden. Nice and warm, fluffy, warps and vibrates. Oh, the drums.
You can learn how to spot the game, you can learn how to play it. The system broke in many ways, somebody gotta say it. When it come to this cheese and this bread, it's time we really take a look at how the money gets spread. I think I speak for the people when I say that. Sometimes you get tired of just feeling like a number on your head. And paying with your life just to keep the children fed. Then wonder why they end up in the fed.
I'm not sure which rapper is King Marino and which one's Necro G, by the way, but whoever is on the mic at this point in time is eloquent, speaks clearly, raps clearly, has a great flow to his voice. I'm liking the little repeaters that they have occasionally as well, and how he syncs it up with the rhythm on the percussion and the other elements of the mix.
I rap because I need a break, was always on my feet. Yeah, I'm from, it ain't cool to testify by what you see. With the people that make it hard for you to find somewhere to sleep. And the only thing you know is birthdays and RIP. I'm a star, baby, right now I'm just trying to get us free. What you mean, get down on the ground, but don't take no knee. You said it was possession, but you said the same tree. Man, that's the reason niggas feel like shit just ain't free. Or maybe that's just me.
Damn, that tension there, that trying to figure out where you're at with other people, man. It's interesting. It's interesting stuff. That feel like just a person with a number on your head. It's an interesting statement there. Like, is that with your value or something like that? I suppose we'll hear more as we go along. But Eager to Gain is a bit of a spicier kind of track, and you know, I suppose it's a bit sadder than what we have with with Retrospect and Leave Me Light. This is a little more serious, I suppose. Oh. Damn, dude. Coming in with Jasmine on the mic as well, doing these lovely double tray vocals here. Very gentle in comparison to the more percussive Sibyllic. It's a nice contrast to have these clean vocals over the top of the different rappers. And I like how we've got a little bit more color in the harmony in this part as well to accentuate the differences between the verses and the chorus. It's a smart move.
It's a horror, of course. I got a bad taste. A rat race with a poor and born in last place. Grew up struggling with nothing but bad days. Going left, but I still got a mad face. So I embrace your hatred. Saying I can take it. Sticks and stones kept the flames lit. So I make it. So much rage from racists. It's fucking outrageous. Every day trying to raise, but we stuck with the changes. The guy raps well as well. Like, obviously slightly different style of rap to the other one. This guy is, I don't know how to describe the way this guy does his thing. But like what I will comment on is the fact that these basses are filthy, aren't they? There's this sort of like almost claustrophobic feel to the way those basses come in and out, and they pulsate and writhe, you know? And these pads as well, they kind of sink around your ears and pan and sort of slide upwards and everything like that. It's a very unsettling experience. You know that it's so country built by slaves who they murdered so cold. We were soldiers, clowns who were under control. But your game's over now, cause we going to war. If you're gonna stay.
Damn, because your game's over now, because we're going to war. Country built, when you get to the point when a song where you're talking about a country built by slaves, you know that shit's getting heavy, right? I wasn't expecting this from Luna Carina. I wasn't expecting it to hit like this. We got set up by Retrospect and Leave Me Light. Two relatively gentle songs in comparison to this one. Luna Carina are doing what they can to make music that's appropriate for the different collaborators and their strengths. And I adore what they managed to do here with Eager to Gain. That's a different page of their book, man. We're doing that chorus the second time, I think, without the drums. And we've got that turntables and that waka-wakas kind of stuff going on there as well. With that traditional sort of hip-hop vibe there. Talking about the game and the shame associated with playing it and the consequences of it. It's terrible, man. It's a terrible situation. It's an interesting social commentary that we have going on here.
Shame. Eager to gain, just keep on playing.
Hey, we get it for pay.
And we've got Yasmin leading us out, man, with that vocal run there at the end. That is descending melody there. That was a heavier experience. I wasn't expecting Eat Again today. Luna Carina, you know, before I get into the conclusion, I just want to say that I have a lot of respect for what they're trying to do with this song. I think there's a few things that really stood out to me with Eat Again. It was the fact that it was good that Luna Carina were more than happy to try, you know, hip hop and also do it well. With the music we've had so far from Retrospect and Leave Me Light, I wouldn't have known that they could produce stuff like this without being aware of that. It just sounds so authentic to the genre, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to gatekeep or anything like that. It just goes to show their talents and abilities as musicians to be able to sort of concoct this and make it as kind of like it's a world that you then inhabit with each. It's a different like atmosphere and environment with each song, you know what I mean? It really does give me a lot of confidence what Luna Carina are going to do in the future. This is basically the conclusion of Eager to Game with Luna Carina. What I think there's 3 tracks about. I think Respect was about wondering if you really should have left that relationship. Leave Me Light was talking about like try not to get overwhelmed by things and like go over together over the hills and like fly away from the troubles and just be together. And there's probably a whole lot more nuance to it that I'm missing, but that's my best attempt at this point in time whilst reviewing literally everything else. Eager to Gain is talking about what you have to do in order to get somewhere in life and the kind of the misappropriation of our values and priorities and how a lot of people just get really screwed over in the process, you know. 3 really interesting topics that will relate to, you know, one or more audiences, and there's intersections and everything like that. The vocal performances, everyone involved, the different collaborators did a sensational job, different styles of music, different influences, regards to genre and everything like that, but there was never a moment where I felt like it was inappropriate or unusual. You know, there were little bits I pointed out that I didn't agree with, like musically, but that's a subjective thing, you know. I'm sure that if, you know, for example, people would have known that this was a hip-hop track if they'd listened to it. I think that the arrangements of the different tracks, with each of them being around that 3-minute mark, was a smart move. It showcases the strengths of each of these musicians involved really, really well. Was not being sort of overzealous with the expectations of the listener, especially as this is like these are their first releases. You know, the instrumentation involved here with the guitars, bass, synths, piano, everything like that. I've got absolutely no complaints. There were a few different parts where we got a little bit exotic with the harmonies, but aside from that, we stayed within the scales and we played around with rhythms quite well. And there's a little bit of eccentricity occasionally, but for the most part, we tried to make the experience a more flowing one. Tried to not alienate the listener too much and kept things nice and consistent with the grooves that were involved and available. Yeah, the music performances themselves on the instruments were great. There was not a single note out of place, aside again from the stuff I mentioned about not liking one of the harmonies there. It's just these little things that seem so trivial in the space of 3 really well written and produced tracks. The production was sensational in all of these different songs. I've got absolutely no complaints about that. The EQ, stereo panning, everything like that, limited compression, the reverb and delay chains and everything were great. There was enough change in there for it not to become too boring. There was dynamic range to these performances as well, each of these songs. There was no point where it felt like it was too samey for too long. They were constantly taking away and reintroducing instruments there to keep things sounding fresh. And even though a lot of these tracks are built on 3 to 4 chord progressions, and there are occasional sectional differences, like obviously Leave Me Light had 2-3 different sections along with like tails and stuff like that. Again, it wasn't super experimental, even though I know these guys apparently do have eccentric tastes. I just prefer to think of it as open-minded because, yeah, that's the best way to be as a musician, especially when you're building yourself up and sort of communicating with fans and stuff like that. You want to try not to box yourself in too much. And at the end of the day, I think that each of these collaborations worked really, really well. I was really happy with how they sounded. It showcased the best strengths of everyone involved, and I wish everyone involved best of luck in future. Apparently Luna Carina are going to be looking for new members to join the group for future releases, so best of luck with that. I'm sure they won't need it, though. I'm sure they'll be absolutely fine. But that is effectively my review of Luna Carina's various tracks. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show Luna Carina some love via their various social medias, Spotify page. Oh, right. And also, apparently they have this YouTube channel. You can also go check out their YouTube page where they have videos as well. This is for Virtue featuring Leah. I was only planning on reviewing 3 of the tracks today, but obviously go check out their YouTube if you want to see more of them actually playing the instruments, which is totally cool. Please do go and show some love to your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all this crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.